Most important aspect of the leadership transaction or transition is for the new standing committee of the Politburo to put a reform agenda on the table for China, which will look very different than what the last 10 years has been. I think if you look back over the last 10 years, many people in China are much less happy 10 years ago than they are today. And I think many feel they have not participated in the economic benefits of an economy that's been growing very rapidly. And many believe that they're entitled to a broader participation in all aspects of the economy, but also in greater representation. So the incoming administration is going to have to make this a priority and a focus area. I think the biggest challenge is the ongoing political legitimacy of the one-party system. And that's been called into question on the back of the fact that people in China do not feel that they're particularly well looked after. And this takes many forms, whether it's pension or insurance or education or other important social services. And the government's very good at rushing to the latest earthquake or natural disaster, but some of these broader structural social reforms are going to be really important in terms of people in China feeling that at least a significant part of the government focus is properly directed. Second big challenge is clearly the economy, and that's something that's talked about a lot. The notion of rebalancing away from exports to an economy that is more driven by consumption and less by investment. That structural shift will take many years to accomplish, in my opinion. But it's started, and the reforms really involve shifting capital allocation away from the state-owned enterprises into the 40+ million small and medium enterprises and large corporates, so that there's a greater dispersion of investment ability in those corporations, greater opportunities for employment, greater opportunities for wealth sharing. That in turn drives consumption, which is a key part of a restructured economy in the future. So these are all linked. All these issues are linked. They need to be sequenced properly. They need to be executed. But there should be no expectation that this is all going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months. This is going to take many years. I am optimistic for two reasons. First of all, I think people say things as part of the political process, which are understood both here in the United States and in China. I don't think that much of what has been said as part of this election in the U.S. will be interpreted badly in China. But on the other hand, I do believe that both countries recognize that it's the largest and the second largest economies in the world. There's more to be gained by cooperating with one another and trying to work through some of these difficult issues than there is to squaring off in economic combat, whether it's protectionist measures or other issues that might come up. Well, China's leaders are going to be very focused on what's going on with their Asian neighbors. We obviously have an unfortunate level of tension around between China and Japan around these islands, which hopefully will get resolved in a peaceful way. But I think more broadly, Asia as a trading center for global trade and for inter-Asian trade is becoming increasingly important as probably the largest trading area in the world. And the bilateral relationships that China has with many of the countries in Southeast Asia and Korea and India are going to be very, very important, not only to China, but also to the growth prospects and wealth generation for the middle class and the growing consumer class across Asia. So those relationships, I think, will be just as important in terms of developing as will the relationships with other parts of the world.